Hello, hello. So this is kind of an off-color, different, weird type of message. So stay with me as I deliver it. Those who have ears to hear will hear, and those who are chosen will understand what I'm talking about. So this is fitting because it's right before Halloween. But the Lord is talking to me about energy vampires. Now I know that's kind of like a new age term, but because he knows I'm familiar with that term, and because we're on the verge of Halloween, he's purposely being very creative with zombies and vampires and things like this, things that are attributed to Halloween, right? Anyways, so he was showing me an example of like a farmer milking a cow or a woman breastfeeding. Okay, now for men, obviously you haven't breastfed, so bear with me, okay? But for you ladies that have breastfed, you'll know what I'm talking about. So no different than when a woman breastfeeds a baby or a farmer milks a cow. The cow is full of milk, and so is the mom, right? As soon as the farmer starts pulling on the udders to milk the cow, there's a lot of milk that comes out at first because the cow is full. It has a lot of milk to give. It's okay that the farmer's taking a large portion of milk because there's an overabundance at first, right? It's full. Same with a mother breastfeeding, she's full as well, right? And so it's okay at first. The cow and the mom are actually kind of glad that there's a drainage going on because it makes them more comfortable, right? But as this continues and goes on, as the farmer continues to milk the cow, the farmer wants every last drop of milk because he has a farm, or he's greedy, he wants to sell that milk. So he will literally drain the cow down to the last drips and drops. And at that point, it's uncomfortable for the cow. It's annoying. It's been going on for some time. And now it was okay at first, maybe even relieving because there was a lot to offer. So it was okay to take some. But now it's to the point where this farmer has a bucket full of milk and this cow's completely drained. And it's kind of similar when a mom breastfeeds, is that the baby's full and satisfied, but the mom is now drained. So either way, the cow or the mom, doesn't matter what example you go with, after a duration of time, they're empty with nothing, and it almost kind of drains their energy simultaneously because it took the body's energy to make that milk in the first place, right? And again, this is something that maybe only feminine would understand, like female, right? And so anyways, then the other party, the farmer or the baby, is full and satisfied, but while one party went from nothing to something, the other party went from lots to nothing, right? So one got drained for someone else to have a lot. And it was due to like greediness, right? Like gorging, right? Gorging, however you want to put it. The Lord was showing me this example to tell me that this is what these energy vampires are doing at this time, and they're really going all out, not just because it's Halloween and the energy and things like that, but because you, chosen one, are a choice-rich supply. No different than not every woman is producing breast milk, but those that are a rich supply for a baby, right? They call it liquid gold. It's the same thing. You as a chosen one that has such a pure energy about you, that is choice, top grade A, mint supply energy for these energy vampire narcissists, okay? That's what they want. The Lord's also showing me that like as we get older, so that was vision 1, and this is vision 2, that as we get older we can still be a good person as we age, 60, 70, 89 years old, we can still be a good person, but our life force is not as vibrant as it was when we were young. When the Lord creates us as babies, we're just chock full of life force, as you can see represented in a 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old, right? They're running around, they're innocent, they're bright-eyed, they're just so full of pure, innocent energy. And as we age and go through our life cycle, that life force is there because that determines the difference between those that are alive and those that are dead, right? Is life force energy. That's the only difference. But as we age, that life force it can zap out of us a little more just due to elderly age, right? So with that being said, one of the choicest supplies that these energy vampires like is anything that is pure. And that is why they feed off of children, particularly because children are the richest source actually of that pure life force energy, right? But because that can't always be an accessible route to go, they understand that there's boundaries, but that explains why some people are predators right there. But in other cases, there's boundaries, so therefore and the Lord is also saying they're doing this subconsciously. Some of these energy vampires that are walking amongst us, in order for them to live in the world and continue to make money and continue to maintain their position and maintain their lifestyle and maintain appearances and things like this, they must feed off of this life force energy, right? And again, this is why, like I say, there's the predator thing, but stepping away from that, when we go into just the main cycle of things, in order for the people in the world to maintain their power, their position, their status, their money, their appearances, things like this, they must receive this life force, pure energy from something. And if they can't receive it off of a child or children, which is the richest source, then they go to the second richest source, which is a child of God or a chosen one, okay? Because one of the things that separates you from the world chosen one, child of God, is that you have a very pure, innocent life force energy. Whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, you have that about you. And it's not exactly like a child, because obviously if you're 35, 45, you're not likened to a 3-year-old, but you and that child have a vibrant, pure, innocent life force energy. It's because it comes from the Most High, right? Children are touched by God, and so are his chosen ones, his children of God, right? No matter your age. If you walk with the Lord touches you with a pure soul and a pure spirit and that ample, abundant life force energy. But those that are in the world that don't have a relationship with the Lord, they don't have that. And if they do have it, it's not in the sheer abundance that the actual children do, the youth, and that those that walk with the Lord have, okay? So in order for these people in the world to continue, as you know, the Lord was showing me the saying, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer is because they start out almost on the same level, okay, poor and poor, but the rich they don't walk with God, and so therefore they don't have a pure life force energy, not to the same gamut that those that walk with God do. So therefore, how they have to get a leg up or a higher advantage is by draining and sucking off that life force energy, like the baby does off of the breastfeeding, right, or the farmer does in milking the cow. Has to drain that ample supply. And at first, you as a chosen one, child of God, you're okay with this because you have a lot to give. You have it in spades, right? You have it in abundance, just like a child does. But after some time, you start to get frustrated, or it starts to drain too much of you, just like in the cow example, because you're seeing that now this farmer / baby satisfied, but you are the one that was drained as a result, right? And now they have a vessel that's full, and your vessel is empty, right? Now, I hope you get the correlation I'm making here, is that I'm not trying to say that they're taking milk. I'm not trying to say anything bad about breastfeeding, none of this stuff. Like, again, those who have ears to hear will hear. My point is that the Lord was showing me that as a physical example to make it make sense as to how these energy vampires that are surrounding us every day, and yes, they're coming out tenfold in these, around October, Halloween time. They always do every year. But this is something that happens 365 days of the year. They are consistently needing to maintain so for the rich to get richer, the poor must get poorer first. If everyone was rich, how could the rich get richer, right? There has to be some sort of something with less and something with more, a difference, right? And if everyone was poor, then there would be nobody getting richer, right? Same idea. So therefore, in order for the rich to get richer, the poor must get poorer. It has to have that ebb and flow. And how the rich get richer is by draining from the poor. So if we want to look at a monetary examples, we see how in, say, your democratic government, for instance, kind of getting off track, but stay with me. They will take most money from the poorer ones and kind of leave the rich ones alone, right, for the most part. And so as a result of that, the poor continue to struggle and the rich don't, right? So that our government provides a perfect example of what I'm trying to say here as to how the poor just go lower and the rich just go higher, okay? But the Lord is saying it goes deeper than just money, finances, tangible, material things. It's that behind the scenes, what they're actually getting is that vessel, as in you chosen one, child of God, that vessel's life force energy. Just like when a mom makes the milk in her body and breastfeeds the baby is receiving life force energy. That's why there's so many antibodies and important things that are passed through breast milk, right? It's the same thing as that when the farmer milks the cow, they're also receiving that cow's life force energy in the milk. Then they go pasteurize it and all this stuff, and then we drink it to get healthy. Babies drink their mom's milk to get healthy, and we drink cow's milk to get healthy, or you give it to your kids to get healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's considered like a growing thing, but the Lord is saying why you're able to grow and develop better on it is because of the life force energy that's transferred from one vessel to another. Okay, but in order for one to receive it in abundance, the other vessel has to go without. Okay. So the Lord is saying these energy vampires have been spiritually sucking the life force energy out of the children of God, the chosen ones. And this is another reason, on a side note, why they do this to children, is because that, whether they realize it or not, behind the scenes, underneath, it's a form of receiving and obtaining this life force energy in its purest, most natural, abundant form, because it comes from Father God. It's something that they don't have. Those that receive the pure life force energy, little children aren't hurting other children, right? Chosen ones aren't hurting other chosen ones. You know what I'm saying? Children of God, true bona fide children of God, aren't hurting other true children of God, because we don't need what the other person has. A 4-year-old doesn't need the other 4-year-old's life force energy. They have it themselves. A true chosen one child of God doesn't need another chosen one child of God's life force energy, because they have it themselves, because they receive a source of supply. Oh, the Lord's showing me, like, for instance, manna, how the Lord would rain down the manna, right, for the Israelites. It's the same thing. The Lord rains down manna, quote unquote manna, in the form of spiritual life force energy onto his children, his physical, use, his little ones, and his children of God, okay? Particularly his chosen ones. And as we age, this life force energy can start to kind of dwindle down just due to the fact of getting older, right? But the Lord is saying that with chosen ones, it doesn't matter, chosen one, if you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, you still have this life force energy in a consistent supply. It doesn't matter if it's more or less when you were younger. It's irrelevant. The point is that as a born and bred as a chosen one, you are chosen to receive this abundant, consistent supply of spiritual manna from the Lord in the form of this life force, innocent, pure energy, okay? And this to other children, like little ones, or to other chosen ones, is not considered like a real treat. You know what I mean? It's because they have it themselves, right? If I have an ice cream cone and you have an ice cream cone, I don't want your ice cream cone because I have my own. But if you have an ice cream cone and I don't, then it might look even better, right? Now I really want it and I'll do anything I can to get it, because not only could I have it, but then you could go without having it. And so as a predator, whether it's physically or spiritually, these people that are in the world that don't have a close connection with the Lord, that aren't children of God or children themselves or chosen ones, they don't have this life force energy in the abundance that you have, if even at all, because the children of Satan don't have this at all. The Lord is saying they have zero. Okay. And so Lord is saying this is another way to know if a person is a true bona fide child of God or a child of Satan, is that the children of Satan do not have this manna. They don't have this innocence. And this is how they become predatory physically, predatory spiritually, and then they'll do whatever, be narcissistic, abusive, whatever it takes to try to just get their hands on that little taste, that little bit of life force energy. And a child is typically the choice source, but if for whatever reason that's not available, then they go for the next choice source, which is a child of God / a chosen one, okay? And they've come to discover that with little children, eventually, if they're not walking with the Lord, because all children have this, the Lord is saying, all children, little ones, have this life force energy. As we know, all children are innocent, right, at a young age. But as they get older, if they're not a chosen one, or they choose not to be a child of God, they don't walk with the Lord, then this life force energy isn't in spades anymore, right? This life force energy starts to dwindle out. So with little ones, you know, they could be full of this life force energy when they're 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, but it can be gone out of them when they're 20, 25, 30 years old, right? For the most part. And then they themselves are searching and seeking, because they don't have Christ, so for themselves, so they're searching and seeking for someone else's mana because they don't have mana, and they see you with this mana and they know that they can somehow get it. And because you work with them, or you date them, or they're in your family, or y'all are similar ages now, you know, you're in an acceptable age range, now you're an adult, they're an adult, they will purposely try to get close to you through a partnership, a relationship, a friendship, whatever it may be, intentionally to try and drain this mana, okay, from you, because in their mind, it's really a score, because not only do they have it, but you also don't have it. They want to drain it down to the last drop. No different than the farmer can milk the cow for the first 10 minutes and get plenty of milk and be satisfied. The cow feels fine and the farmer got his share. But no, the farmer's greedy. The farmer wants to go to the very bitter end, doesn't care how the cow feels, doesn't care that the cow's been standing there for an hour getting milked and it's bothering it and it's irritating it and things like this. It doesn't matter. I've even seen it where the udders get infected and things like this. They don't care. They just want that source, right? That mana, that life force energy that's in the cow. So then instead of making 10 bottles of milk, they want to make 20, 30, right? And they'll just do this repeatedly because they can. And what do they do with the cow? Does the cow come over and say, here I am, milk me? No, they put the cow in a pen and they chain it up and they force it. And they do this for you know, against the cow's will, right? And it's all, yes, we need milk, but it's to an extra step where they're going above and beyond just because they want to sell more bottles, right? Instead of selling 10, they want to sell 20. And so now it becomes different, where the farmer's objective is just to get that milk. It has no care or regard to how the cow might feel, what the cow's going through, you know what I'm saying? And so the Lord was using that just as a understandable example for me, so that I could understand what he was showing me, and also to make it make sense in this video, that's what these energy vampires do. And they do this 12 months out of the year, 365 days of the year. But it's heightened when it comes to Halloween time, because they know that the energies are higher, okay? And at this point in time, because they're going through judgment, we've been saying this for some time, the Lord is on them, and the demons that were working with them are turning on them, okay? And so because of that, these demons are draining whatever life force energy that they had of their own. So they're seeking out rich sources of supply to keep going, because again, the only difference between someone that's alive and someone that's passed on is life force energy. There's no difference, right? And so as long as you're alive, you're going to have some form of this life force energy. But the Lord is saying that when it comes to his chosen ones or his children, that they have it in abundance. And so you're okay with partnering with some of these people at first, or being friends or whatnot, or working with these people at first, or helping out those family members and going to family functions at first. But then, because you have this life force mana in abundance, okay, and you don't mind sharing, because on a subconscious scale, they can tell you have it, and on a subconscious scale, you can tell they don't have it. Whether they're saying, hey, I'm an energy vampire, and you say, that's okay, I got lots to spare. It's not about that. Subconsciously, they know that you're a rich source, and subconsciously, you know they're empty. So just like a mother breastfeeding her baby, you do it to help the baby. You're okay with the baby breastfeeding. You want what's best for it, right? It's because of your care and your nurturing way, right? As a chosen one, because that's how the life force energy is, caring and kind and nurturing and loving, because it comes from Christ. So therefore, you're okay with giving up some supply at first, because you understand on a subconscious level that they need it. And the Lord is saying that sometimes he tells you to do it because he knows that they need it. And that's another thing that chosen ones do, is to be of service to others, right? And that's one way you're of service to others, is by sharing your mana, your life force energy that you get from the Lord. Because the Lord knows that not everybody does have that access like you do, okay? So he will encourage you to go and share it, and you will willingly, okay? But after some time, like the cow example, the cow maybe would willingly, but because the farmer takes it to the next level, the cow would try to run away or leave, and the farmer knows this. So to prevent that, the farmer just goes ahead and traps the cow and holds it captive in some way and forces it against its will to continue to produce. And the Lord is saying that's what starts to happen with these energy vampires, is that once you start to get too drained, or it starts to affect you, and now your mana and life force is getting drained past the point of necessary, that you try to break things off or run away or cut ties or whatever, and then they come back at you even more even more stronger, you know what I mean? Because you're trying to get away, and they can't have that. They need the source. The source is too rich, and they're too greedy, okay? They're too gluttonous, they're too greedy, they want more of it. So they'll come back, and yes, they'll use abuse, they'll use bait and switch, or whatever it's called, where they're nice at first. Oh, love bombing, thank you, Lord. Where they'll love bomb you at first, and it's all everything you want to hear and see and do, everything, verbal love, physical love, it's all love. And then once they get you cornered again, then they turn around and, you know, sink their claws and teeth in, just like how the farmer puts the cow in the vice, and then, you know, they just go to town from there, because they don't genuinely, truly, actually care about you and your physical comfort, your mental and emotional comfort. They just care about what that life force energy that you provide in spades, that you have an abundance of, that they lack, okay? And when we come into these crucial spiritual times where these demons are turning on them and sucking every bit, so there's you with a rich source because you walk with Christ, these vampires come and feed off of you spiritually, okay? Obviously not physically, but spiritually. They take that fill up, that whatever they get out of you, could be a quarter tank, a half a tank, or a full tank, but they take whatever they've received, because it depends on how much you give them. If you give them a lot of supply, like energy and stuff, and we know this with narcissists and empaths, like the supply terminology, right? Then they'll be like, then they're happy, they're satisfied, no different than if you breastfeed the baby for an hour, it's fully satisfied, right? It'll go till it can't go no more. But once you get wise and the Lord says, okay, that's too much, the Lord will pull you away, because you've reached critical levels where, no different than with your gas tank, it's okay to have a half a tank. You prefer a full tank, but you can get around on half. But once we get to E, we can't keep driving. We have to hit up the gas station. It's the same thing, is that once your levels of this life force energy as a chosen one get to a drastic low level, the Lord will pull you away from these people, hence the separation, because he needs to fill you back up, okay? And if these people, so the Lord will sometimes allow you to go and fill these people up with your life force, because he knows they need it, because they don't have their own. But it's not just to continually drain you, it's to try to get them started. No different than how, like, breast milk, you're not breastfeeding your baby when they're 10, 20, 30 years old. It's just for the first couple of years of life to get them started, right? And so that they can have a good start. It's the same thing. This manna that the Lord gives you, chosen one, the Lord will allow you, since you have it in abundance and spades more than the average person, because you're chosen, the Lord will, and you get this continual supply of manna from him, and he knows that. He will allow you to go out and get into these situations where you're willingly giving out this life force energy that he's given you, and or allow people to drain it off of you, whether they're doing it knowingly or unknowingly, and whether you're being a willing vessel knowingly or unknowingly, okay? But then once these people get this taste, no different than how a baby does with the breast milk, then they start to kind of take advantage of it, right? Not everyone, but in a lot of cases. And once they take advantage of it, then they get to the point eventually where they drain you till you're completely empty. And when this happens, the Lord needs to pull you away so that he can refill you, reset you, okay? So that, not just so that you can help this person again or these other people, it's so that you can continue on. And that is why, chosen one, sometimes you might feel drained, okay? Is because this is what's been happening to you on a level, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. It's happening on a spiritual level, okay? Now, you could sit in your house all by yourself 24/7 and not talk to no one, and this can still happen, because spiritually, they're doing it from away from you. They're spiritually sucking it off of you. And this looks like leaning on your energy, okay? So say, for instance, that you cut ties, the Lord encouraged you to cut ties with someone, and you do, but then a month goes by or a couple of weeks and you haven't thought about this person at all. And then all of a sudden you maybe heard that they're going through something, or maybe the Lord let you know, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about them, or you can feel like a pressure or pressing on you coming from them, even though y'all aren't talking or in connection. Yeah, that's because that's them they're going through stuff, and the demons have turned on them and or have drained what mana they had of their own or left over from you in their bank, right? Their bank that they had from their last deposit from you, and they have nothing. And so then they're trying to come to you, but the Lord has already cut you off as their source, because they're going through judgment. The Lord doesn't want them receiving any of the Lord's source, because the Lord gave them source to get them started, and they snubbed their nose at the Lord. So therefore the Lord's like, well, no, I'm not going to put my child through any more emptying or, for your greedy gluttony, when you're just trying to drain and use my child, and subsequently drain and use me, right? Because the Lord fills up your tank, and then they come and drain whatever amount off of it that they're allotted to drain. Then whatever they have, these demons that run with them and they go to bed with and play with and work with, go and take that out of them, right? So in the end, you're ultimately feeding demons. That's what you're doing. And at first the Lord kind of knew that this was going to happen, so he was okay with it, but it got to the point to where, they're not learning their lesson. They continued to take advantage of the situation. They're demons, to the point that the Lord has allowed them to go through judgment for the demons to turn on them. And then because they're just like going bonkers, they want to come back to you to receive the energy to get from you, like siphoning a gas tank, the Lord is saying. Like, say I have gas in my tank and you don't, you want to come siphon my gas to fill up your vehicle, right? And it's okay once or twice, but I can't have you doing that every single day. I need my own gas to get around, right? You're going to have to find your own way to get gas, so I have to cut you off. And then it can get to the point where now you're trying to just steal it from me. You know what I'm saying? Behind my back or whatever. Like, as an example, like that's what the Lord is saying is what they're doing. And because of the time, the energy here so close to Halloween, this month of October, they've really been doing this because they're under judgment and have been for the last while. And these demons are starving, and the most satisfying source for these demons is the life force energy, the mana that you receive. But because the Lord has cut them off, and of course the Lord's not going to feed no demon, the host that they thrive off of, which is these people, these vampires, because like I said in one of my last words, they have the demons on their back. The demons are literally like clawing at them and eating at them and everything. And of course this is on a spiritual scale, but this is what's happening. And this is what's causing them to go even deeper into sin and even deeper into going against you and stuff like this. Isn't just because they don't like you and all this. It's because the demons want what you have. They want that source. No different than when you breastfeed your baby moms for a year and then you cut the baby off because it's just too much. And the baby will just keep trying to lift up your shirt and come. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get the boundaries. They just want it. Like, it started out okay, and now it's to the point where you're trying to wean them off, and they're like coming at you and getting mad because they want, you're starving them of what they want, right? And so the Lord is saying that that's what it is. This life force energy is so powerful. It's so powerful that when moms make breast milk, it's that energy is in the breast milk, and that's what feeds and nurtures and develops their baby. Okay. But again, the Lord didn't intend for, the same cow to be milked for 30 years. The Lord didn't intend for the mom to breastfeed for 30 years. The Lord didn't intend for us as chosen ones and children of God to go and be drained. A child is only a child for so long, and then they grow up too. And then this life force energy isn't as prevalent when they're 20 as it was when they were 5. You know what I'm saying? The Lord didn't intend for this just like, okay, yes, thank you, Lord. The Lord is saying even the Israelites weren't on manna forever. They were only on manna for an isolated amount of time, right? And so the Lord is saying this quote unquote manna, quote unquote life force energy isn't meant to feed others in abundance forever and ever, amen, right? But with chosen ones, what these vampires have discovered about you, chosen one, is that you continuously receive this supply. They understand that they had it, but the more they walk in the world, the less they have of it. They see that children are the richest source, but as the children age, they start to grow out of it too. And especially if those children start to walk in the worldly ways with the devil as well, at the age of consent, then, they go without it all the same. The only ones on the planet that seem to continue through all the decades and years receiving this manna and this life force energy to a degree is the chosen ones. And so that right there, chosen one, is why you're receiving drainage and narcissists and all this toxic abuse and everything from everywhere, from family members, from friends, from partnerships, from co-workers, from this source, that source, that source. It's because you're 1 in a million. Like I say this all the time, the true chosen ones are rare. It's not hard to find an energy vampire, but it is hard to find a true source of this life force energy, right? Especially one that continues to receive it, year after year, decade after decade after decade. And of course, chosen ones age too. You're not as full of vitality and life force in your 30s, 40s, 50s as you were when you were 5, 10, 15 years old. But the Lord is saying that he continues to refill up your tank over and over again. And one of the key reasons why you might be feeling more exhausted or more drained or not like yourself, or find you get sick easier and things like this compared to your youth, you just chalk it up to getting older and things like that, which yes, that is a part. But the Lord is saying the other part is all the many years of drainage. You've been being drained since you were a little kid in your family, then with friendships, then with partnerships, through coworkers. You've spent 30, 40, 50 years on this planet being drained on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, okay? And so the Lord is, he's brought this to my attention for myself, and he also wants me to make a word about this, is that this is what's constantly been going on throughout your life, chosen one, and this is what's been going on throughout this month of October in particular, especially as we're drawing closer to Halloween. So think it not strange if this is how you've been feeling. But it's going to continue to go on in November and December, January, and you're used to it by now because this is all you've ever known. But this is why the Lord has cut these vampires off. And so if you feel people you've cut off from your past pulling on you, and it's not a trick of your mind, they really truly are, because they're going through it and they want what you have because they don't have it. And what little they've gotten from you or they make of their own as a human being alive on the planet, these demons are taking it from them faster than they can make it. No different than how the farmer's milking the cow faster than the cow can produce it, okay? So the Lord is saying, the takeaway advice here is the Lord is saying, stay cut off from these people. They're trying to rope you back in at this time, not because they love you or miss you or care about you. They might say that they do, but they want that life force energy manna that you have. And the Lord is saying that if you keep them cut off, he's going to refill you up. It may take some time because they've been draining it for X amount of time recently, especially throughout this month of October, right? And while they've been under this judgment, but the Lord is going to refill and replenish his chosen ones with their manna. And this time he's going to have these ones cut off, okay? So follow the Lord's lead. If there's those that you feel are energy vampire drainers, then take that as what it is, okay? Don't second guess yourself. That's the Lord trying to help you, chosen one. And keep these people cut off. Now, there may come a time when the Lord does want you out of mercy to go and help this person out, like give them a drink of your water, so to speak, because they're so thirsty, they need it. And if the Lord leads you to do that, then do that. But you have to check in with the Lord first, because the Lord is saying a drink won't be enough. They need a whole pitcher full, okay? And you don't really have that to give right now. That's why the Lord has cut you off. He's going to refill you, and then maybe you will. But again, use your discernment and check in with the Lord in advance, because for some, yes, for some, no, okay? For some, maybe you will come back once you've been replenished to replenish them. But in other cases, no. The Lord says that this is a judgment time for these people, and what's come for them has come to them in spades. And so that's why they're going to the next level to try to receive this life force energy, because they know that if they can get it from you, they can feed off these demons and then they'll be left alone, right? But the Lord is saying, no, not that. It's not going to work that way. That's not how he's going to have it. So keep ties cut from these people, chosen ones. Rest and relax. Stay close to the Lord, because the Lord recharges you. He is going to replenish you. Just try and make it through this time. Make sure that whatever you're feeling or thinking is of your own volition and not somebody else's, pushing upon you. Ask the Lord for clarity. And this message here will be clarity for some who maybe already know what I'm talking about, and revelation for others who weren't sure, but now you know. That's why the Lord sent me with it. Now you know for next time, right? The Lord is revealing this to chosen ones so that they know to watch out in the future. If you have new people come around, beware for this. And if the old ones come around, especially beware for this, okay? Because there's so many energy vampires on the planet. Like there's 1 million vampires to every one chosen one, okay? So even these old ones from your past will come with all the song and dance. It may be true, but that's up to the Lord, not you, okay? And for others, it's not true at all. Just completely cut it off. They want you to feed their narcissism and their ego, which in turn feeds these demons. And these demons are clawing at them because they don't have what they have, because you're no longer there providing the source, okay? So anyways, the Lord is saying to leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there. So I'm hoping that this makes sense. I know the Lord will send the right ones to it at the right time when it's needed. And, again, only those who have ears to hear will hear. Don't take anything too literal and put your own spin on it and all this. This is for the true chosen ones that know what I'm talking about. And the Lord needs to have this message come to them. So I hope it finds you well. Take care. And God bless.